In this video, let's take a look at the updates to the remote controls and what is added over here with the project section, how you can use this for the remote controls and modulators. Starting off, I've got this polygrid synth over here. And if you scroll to the bottom over here, you can see that on a track-based level, you can add your remote controls. So for example, I could click here and now I can choose what I want to assign these remote controls to. For example, maybe I want to assign the remote control to my glide functionality. So now I can increase my glide over here. Maybe I also want to change the remote control for the notes over here. So this is the note rate for the arpeggiator. Currently it's at 16th notes. I can now change it to 8th notes. And then finally, maybe I want to assign the frequency cutoff over here as well. So what I can do is click on that and then click on the frequency. And now I can sweep that frequency. And add the glide. And change the note rate. So that's on a track-based level. But even better, you can click on this project section over here, and over here you can now add remote control on a project level, which means you can click this plus sign over here and click on way more other options that you can use for your project remote controls. For example, let's say I've got my drums over here and I want to adjust the drum level with remote control. So I can click over here and then click on my drum level, and I can now have control over my drums. So I can play back my performance here with these two synths, a bass synth and a drums, and change the drum level. So on these drums, let's say I want to add some saturation. I can add some distortion over here. And with this distortion, I can mix it in with the drums. So I can play back. And maybe I want to add this as a remote control as well. Then I can click on that, click on the remote control. And now for my projects, I've got the remote control over the level of my drums, plus the saturation mix. Now let's try out some other things. So how about going for my polysynth over here and adjusting this cutoff filter? So I'll click on that over here. So now if I solo that polymer synth, I can change that cutoff. Now, if I go to the polygrid over here, how about on this, I want to add a remote control for the note rate. So now what I've got is the project remote control section where I've got my drums volume. I could maybe go in there and relabel that drum volume and label this drum mix. This is the polymer cutoff. So I could say polymer cut. And then over here, this is the polygrid rate. Now, there's actually another way that you can view these. So I can minimize these over here and go over here to show the project pane. And then down over here, I've got access to those same remote controls that I created. So that means I can jump around to my different tracks over here and still view these and have access to change them. Now, one other thing that's also been added to the project section is now you've also got the option to add modulators. And you can modulate anything to your project. It's not just linked to the signal chain. For example, with your tracks over here, you'd add a modulator and you'd have to link it to something within the signal chain. Now with the projects, you can modulate numerous things. For example, I can click over here. Let's just go for the Curves MSEG modulator. And now if I click on this, I can modulate the volume of the drum. So I can just click here, just drag to the left, and now it's got some modulation for the drum module. Now, what if I want to modulate a panning on this polygrid? I can also add a curves module. maybe jump for a different wave shape. And then modulate this to the pan on the polygrid. So I can click this and drag that here. So as you can see, you've got quite a lot of control with regards to having these remote controls and these modulators on the project section, so you can get deeper into your project and add quite a wide array of remote control and modulation. Seeing the modulation on the panning and with the drum volume levels. So that's how to use the new remote control assignments on your tracks, plus on your project section, and adding the project modulators.